Retro games. We love them, we play them, but nothing irritated me as much as playing through a game and getting this kind of an ending. Oh, you mother... Granted, Ghostbusters here on the NES was like drinking ammonia, then lighting yourself on fire to top it off, but they weren't all like this. So in this video, I'm listing my top 10 endings from the 8-bit era. Now we have all played awesome games and gotten a rotten ending, or rotten games with bad endings. So when we got a good ending regardless of the overall game, it was something majestic, something truly awesome to behold. Because before the 8-bit era, game endings were rare, if almost non-existent. So endings were awesome to behold, especially when they were as good as they are with these couple of games that I'm going to mention here. By the way, I placed them in no specific order, just my favorites from that 8-bit era. So here we go. So let's start out with FAXANADU, if that's how you pronounce it, I forgot. I like the ending here. When the game starts, our protagonist comes back home and finds it looking like crap here. And then in the end, he leaves again, having vanquished all evil, and look at that, leaves the place looking tip-top. This is quite a peaceful ending here, and it's one that I felt at the time that would come to mean a sequel. I mean, I thought the sequels would be about him traveling the world as an adventurer, a warrior knight, but never happened, unfortunately. One of my favorites. Now, Blaster Master here is one of my favorite games from that era. I mean, the ending is just so serene. It was calm as you just sit there taking the breeze on top of that multi-purpose assault vehicle that you just happen to have buried in your backyard. Hey, who knew? And best of all, you got your little frog back. Now, Adventures of Lolo 2 here. Overlooked game in my opinion. Great puzzles, great gameplay. The ending, it's a little bit long, paces slowly, but it's great as you just sit there with your girl watching the sky slowly turn to night, and then you see the stars just slowly appear just above you both. There's something so calm about that. Now, out of all the NES Mega Man games, I think part 2, the ending, is my favorite. Now, online I found information that states that the ending was meant to close the saga for Mega Man, since the team that created the game wasn't sure it would be a hit. It was an ending to signal Mega Man as he walked into the sunset triumphantly, putting an end to the series. We all know that didn't happen. I mean, Capcom saw the first game flop and kind of was against doing a sequel, but then the team worked on it mostly on their off time since Capcom wasn't going to fund the game. So basically the team poured their hearts and souls into this game, and what do you know? One of the great classics and maybe the best Mega Man game of that 8-bit era. Now, Ninja Gaiden here introduced cinematic style cutscenes in style to the 8-bit era. Go-Go 13 had it beat by a few months, but I think Ninja Gaiden here perfected it. And that ending was so epic. It was so awesome to see. Check it out. Not many people out there have seen this outside of a YouTube video like this one, but this game is brutal. That awesome ending made up for that. Okay, so Metroid here I included for one big specific reason, as we all know by now. Sure, it only has a text, one static screen, and it just shows Samus just standing there, but if you beat the game at a certain time, under a certain time, you get this ending. And I think everyone back then who saw it was so shocked when we saw that it was a woman under that suit. I mean, I'm not being sexist here, but I'm not saying a woman can't be a protagonist, but at that time we only had Miss Pac-Man, we had Athena in the arcades, and Toby Masuyo. But at that time we were starting to see a break from that mold where the females were relegated to just damsels in distress. Metroid, I think, in my opinion, blew that door wide open. Great ending just for that. Now, I think Castlevania started that whole trend with the hero or heroes standing on top of a cliff overlooking whatever place they're destroying. Castlevania was one of the first to do it, even though the first one just showed the castle, but I think the third one is the one that kind of just put it all together. Got all the heroes, different endings, and you got to see the castle crumbling in the background, in the distance, as the heroes looked on. Awesome game, so it was just an all-around perfect package. Now, not many of you out there might remember Section Z. It's not a game that most do remember, but it doesn't mean that it's not great. I mean, I was so blown away by this ending. It is a bit slow when you get to this part over here. It would have made it go a bit faster over here at this part, but it's still pretty cool to see. The ending to me at that time had this kind of Robotech vibe for me. I mean, I used to watch that show all the time, so the ending stuck with me because of that. Plus, it's just great. Look at it. Now, Super Mario 2 here has got to be one of my favorite all-time endings ever. Now, I know I wasn't gonna rank them, I'm not ranking them, but this one here is possibly my #1 ending, at least from that era. Now, keep in mind that back then we were not used to endings like this. I mean, to me, it looked like I felt like I was watching a cartoon. It really was, at least to me, one of the best looking endings that they could have come up with for such a game like that. It was perfect. It was just basically the icing on the cake, in my opinion. Great game, great ending, love it. So there we have it. Now, some of you out there will see the list and complain that there is no other system represented here other than the NES. I would have loved to include other games from other systems, but the truth is Nintendo kind of had a stranglehold in the market during the mid to late 80s. They had the majority of studios making games for them. I mean, I tried to look for other games from the Master System and maybe the Atari 7800. Yeah, I was stretching it there, but I couldn't find any good ones. Even Phantasy Star, which I consider to be possibly the best 8-bit game from a technical point of view and best role-playing game of that era, even that one had a bad ending. Bad as in not bad, but not as good as the ones that I showed here. Now, hope you all liked this video. Yeah, as always, I have a ton of fun making them, and hopefully you all have fun watching it. So until next video, take care of yourselves.